Hi everyone, just with the latest news about Mr. Prover or ProveX or whatever it's going to be called, and the potential of a sacrifice. There's obviously a lot of opinions out there, whether it's good, bad, otherwise. I can understand people's hesitancy given where we sit in the current market. What I wanted to do, I thought it'd be easier just to chuck down a few of my thoughts, and you can see whether it's cope or whether you think there's something in it. Like I said, it's just something I've been thinking about for a long time now. I think I spoke about this 12 months ago or more on one of our streams that we do. This is just a concept I thought was a potential. So let's have a quick look. So a quick history lesson. When Hex launched, we had something called the AA, or the Adoption Amplifier, and essentially the way that worked was you put ETH into one side, so the user would deposit their ETH, and after a 24-hour period, the bucket of Hex that was sitting there, which would get refreshed every 24 hours, it would distribute that Hex out to the users who had put in ETH. And that ETH that was sent in here ended up with a massive bucket out of here, and at the very beginning, or through the AA, it was actually in the hands of a benevolent actor, and that benevolent actor actually protected the distribution phase of Hex because there was a few bad actors taking advantage of the arbitrage between Uniswap, which had just launched, it was a brand new thing, and the AA. So the AA was thought about before Uniswap was a thing. It was a good way to launch a project. Then Uniswap came around, and that sort of threw a bit of a spanner in the works, where we'd never seen how that worked before, and people were taking advantage of that. So to fix that on the open market, some actions were taken. So it was net benefit for the people that were trying to do the honest thing. A few people that were trying to take advantage of that, they got a little bit upset. But that's the history of how the AA actually launched. So effectively what happened, we ended up with people holding a bunch of Hex. So let's just say you put in $1,000 over the course of this, and we'll just use average numbers, don't get too bogged down on the maths, it's the concept that's important. So someone put in $1,000 over this period, and what we seen happen was we seen Hex do a 10,000x. Now, why was this? Well, you could argue that this bucket of ETH got pushed into the chart here and helped rise that up. I suspect there was a fair bit of that went on. We'll never ever know, but let's assume that there was the potential for a lot of these, a lot of the dollars we had sitting over here got injected into the chart, boosted this up to 10,000x along the way. So not only was this original capital still in play, but fresh capital came in to buy the chart up along the way. People chasing green candles, people that had got in early and thought they hadn't put enough in, wanted to make sure they had more in, and they were riding this chart up. And we've seen some people grow some pretty modest amounts of money into some very large sums. Now, the problem with that is, that's good, but this is a paper gain. So we've seen Hex, the market cap got up to, it was in the top 3 on CoinMarketCap when they were being honest. We had this massive market cap, but we all know, we understand liquidity, that if everyone wanted to cash out, there is no way everyone would have been able to cash out this amount of funds, given we only had this amount of liquidity plus whatever was injected along the way. If everyone tries to do that, we know what happens. We get a massive downside chart. That is the worst arrow ever. Not sure why it's doing that. But we'd get a massive downside on the chart because it would just sell the chart into oblivion. And the reality is not everyone would be able to get out the paper value they have. This is not just a Hex thing. It's not just a crypto thing. It's an all markets thing. If you get big enough that your paper value would smash a market when you sold, you've got to come up with better ways of how you make use of your now paper net worth. Yes, you can sell a bit. You've got to live. You've got to be able to do those things in the real world. But most really wealthy people, they're not continuously selling their assets. They're putting them to work to do something more and to grow their wealth. And that's why the wealthier get wealthier, because they're smart and they realize that. So what if someone gave you an opportunity to act like the wealthy? So rather than everyone having to sell the chart down, which, look, price went down anyway, but that was a function of people selling. But the reality was there was no way anyone was going to get this high paper net worth out. We've seen a lot of people ride very large numbers up and down. Everyone's in that boat. There wouldn't be too many people that haven't seen their bag rise up really high and watched it dump down. And I don't care who you are. We watched Ethereum, ETH founder Vitalik. He lost 500 mil or something like that in paper value because of the market swings as well. So it happens to everyone. When you get wealthy, that's the problem you're going to have. Okay, so someone's given us an opportunity to transfer this value in from the first cycle to the second cycle. How did that look? It looked like a sacrifice. So you moved your value, so it got pumped up, your meager value at the beginning got ramped up to this crazy value, and then you had the chance to sell a little bit, but put a little bit into the sacrifice as well at this high value. You've transferred your value into the next cycle. You've effectively, rather than selling it down and paying taxes and all that, you're putting it to work. Doesn't feel like it at the moment, but that's essentially what you've done. We've seen fresh injections of capital come in, not only to the chart but to the sacrifice as well, to the tune where we had ETH, USDC, DAI, Bitcoin, Doge. There was a whole bucket of assets that got put into the sacrifice pool, so that we had, I don't know, let's call it 1 billion. It fluctuates depending on the price of ETH and whatever, but essentially we've got a bucket of ETH sitting at the end of this process. So the value was transferred in paper value for the users. We had fresh capital come in, now got a bucket of ETH sitting there. Looks pretty familiar, doesn't it? Okay, what's that bucket of ETH been doing? Well, it seems to be doing benevolent things again. So what happens if we see a bit of a repeat? Now this is where we're all sitting down here. So our funds have gone in, we've transferred our value across, and we're sitting down here. Market hasn't moved. It's been pretty shit, so it feels pretty terrible. Your net worth hasn't grown. You've probably taken a loss on paper because the charts have moved down and the whole market's a big crap. But we've got, instead of the 10 million we had back here, don't quote me on what the number was, I don't know what it was at the time, that's grown, and now we've got 1 billion because we've had all this extra external funds flow in. Okay, well, let's see what happens if we take our now value that we've transferred forward, and this gets boosted in, and we see once again green charts and price starts to rise. And I mean, we watched Zcash the other day. As soon as people see green charts, they will flow in there and buy up that chart. So what we're going to see again, most likely, is more fresh capital come in. So it's not just this capital. You've got the original capital that people put in. You've got the excess that got dipped into the sack. Gets rallied up. We see fresh people chasing green candles as they will. We've got more capital coming in. They hear about another sacrifice that's going on, and they may put their funds into the Mr. Prove sacrifice. Now I know everyone's shell-shocked and no one wants to do it, and it's the worst idea ever, but what if, so the people that were in back here and have transferred their value, they're on the second run. There's a lot of people that came in around sort of midway and up to here. They've brought tops and things like that. They are now the new people that are sitting down over here. Doesn't feel like it at the moment because it's been a bit of a rough trot, but you're sitting over here. You're well positioned to take advantage of anything that happens with these funds here and gets pushed into this chart. So that's effectively where we are now. We're onto the second cycle now, down at the lows here before anything's actually happened. So let's say we do see some funds flowing in here. We see fresh capital coming in. Price gets boosted right up. This sacrifice runs for not just a couple of weeks, but for, I don't know, 12 months. Who knows? I don't know what the number's going to be. But if this is pushing up and people are seeing this rise up and they've got to buy core coins or something like that to pop into here, it's going to push the price of this chart up. So I don't know what's going to get accepted here. I'm assuming it's going to be everything again. Don't know. But let's just say it'd be great if it's core coins, because it means everyone has to buy up this chart to get their value here to transfer it in. And all you guys saying, no, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait until this launches and then I'll buy the dip. You're missing out on the opportunity to get your funds through and ramped into here. So yeah, you can take the risk of, I'm just going to sit on it and see how I go. Let's see how well you do you actually own cores now, or have you gone off and played all the casino and you don't have those assets that are going to be in here, and hence you need to get them? When are you going to get them? Are you going to get them down here, or are you going to get them up here? Like, if you keep seeing this chart rally up, the FOMO is going to hit you. I don't know what's going to go on. This is not financial advice. This is just a concept I've sort of thought about for a while. But effectively what we could see is a similar thing happen where this value ramps up, we get fresh flows come in. Who knows what this bucket of ETH, or whatever, however it looks at the end of it, what this looks like at the end of this cycle and this process. And then do we get to take this, move it across? Oh, there we go, I've already got it there for you. Let's get rid of that one. Move it across to here, and then we get to be at this stage again for the next cycle. I don't know what's going to happen. This could be just cope, but this is just a thought that I've had for a while, and it makes sense that if you're going to create massive value, you've got to have a way of transporting that value forward in a tax efficient way that can keep this virtuous cycle going. So don't be too quick to judge. I think we've all got to just take a little bit of time to pause and see, maybe this is what we're seeing. Maybe this is how it's all going to play out, and we'll end up on a nice little trot here. I think we'll get a lot of eyeballs looking at Pulse Chain if we are one of the only assets that are really rocketing up, and people are looking for gains in a space where the gains have been pretty sparse over this cycle. Just a thought. Hopefully that helps.